Can salamanders survive fire? The myth versus the science. Salamanders have long been portrayed as strange and enigmatic creatures in mythology and folklore. With their secretive habits, slippery skin, and eerie, often colorful appearance, these little amphibians have inspired all kinds of myths, from the bizarre to the downright supernatural. While modern science paints salamanders as fascinating, harmless creatures, many legends from the past viewed them as magical beings with terrifying powers. Even today, remnants of these old beliefs can be found in pop culture, stories, and rural tales. One of the most enduring myths about salamanders is that they are born from fire, or can survive in it. This idea dates back centuries and was popularized in Europe during the Middle Ages. Alchemists and scholars believed that salamanders were elemental creatures associated with fire. Some even thought they were immune to flames. Why? The fact that real salamanders occasionally emerged from burned-out logs likely gave rise to the myth. When the logs heated up, the salamanders, who had been hiding inside to stay moist and cool, would scurry out of the flames. To the people watching, it must have looked like the animal had emerged from fire itself, completely unharmed. Generations of people were drawn to this fiery connection. Salamanders became symbols of endurance, transformation, and mystery. Even Leonardo da Vinci once wrote that salamanders get no food but from the fire, a statement that echoed the belief that they not only survived fire, but were nourished by it. Naturally, salamanders are extremely sensitive to dryness and heat now that we know this. Their skin must remain moist to function properly, and even mild heat can be fatal to them. The myth is completely false in every way. Another popular myth is that salamanders are poisonous or even deadly to touch. This idea likely came from the fact that many salamander species do produce toxins through their skin as a defense mechanism. Some, like the fire salamander of Europe, can release a strong neurotoxin that irritates the skin and eyes of predators. However, these toxins are not lethal to humans under normal circumstances. Touching a salamander won't kill you, but it's still smart to wash your hands afterward, both for your safety and the salamander's well-being. Salamanders were thought to be bad luck or associated with witches and dark magic in some cultures, particularly the early Europeans. During witch trials in the 16th and 17th centuries, accused witches were sometimes said to keep salamanders as familiars or spirit animals. Their appearance, slippery, cold, and sometimes brightly colored, only added to their creepy reputation. People believed salamanders could slither into homes and poison wells, or that they were used in black magic potions. In truth, salamanders are shy and avoid humans. They prefer hiding under rocks or logs and would never willingly approach a well or. Compare this to the slower and more heavily built mud puppy, an aquatic salamander that spends most of its life under rocks. If a sudden threat appeared, say, a snake or bird, the two-lined salamander could dart away through the leaf litter or water in an instant. The mud puppy would attempt to conceal itself or rely on camouflage, but in a real escape scenario, speed prevails. Another point of comparison involves reproductive strategies, which can also lead to indirect battles among salamanders. For example, ambystoma species like the Jefferson salamander engage in courtship where multiple males compete for a single female by depositing spermatophores. Only one will succeed, making these encounters a subtle form of competition. In contrast, species like the axolotl, which breed in controlled aquatic environments, don't face the same intensity of mating battles. So while there's no direct fighting, there's still a competitive edge at play. Even among juveniles, there can be surprising behavior. Some larval salamanders exhibit cannibalistic tendencies when resources are scarce. For example, in crowded pools, tiger salamander larvae sometimes grow larger heads and broader jaws, allowing them to consume their weaker siblings. This internal battle for survival begins early and showcases just how competitive life can be, even among one's own kind. Salamander battles may not involve claws, roars, or violent ambushes like you'd find with lions or crocodiles, but they're rich with evolutionary strategies. Stealth, toxins, camouflage, agility, and regeneration form their weapons. Their clashes, whether for territory, food, or mates, are quieter but no less intense. And while some species are built for aggression, others are designed for endurance, evasion, or long-term survival. So while you might never catch two salamanders in an all-out wrestling match, their world is filled with subtle rivalries and showdowns. From the streambeds of the Appalachians to the lakes of Mexico, salamanders are battling for survival every day, and they're doing it with a toolkit of biological superpowers that would make any comic book hero jealous. Then there's the myth that salamanders can live forever or don't age like other animals. This legend likely stems from the axolotl, a species of salamander known for its neotenic qualities. It never undergoes full metamorphosis and retains its juvenile features for life. People once thought this meant it didn't age at all. While axolotls are indeed unique and have some regenerative capabilities, they do age, and they don't live forever. Most axolotls live 10 to 15 years in captivity, less in the wild. Some myths even claim that salamanders can cure diseases or possess magical healing powers. In medieval times, powdered salamander was rumored to be an ingredient in rare medicines and magical elixirs. Of course, there's no scientific basis for these claims. In fact, harming salamanders for such purposes is cruel and illegal in many places today, as many species are protected or endangered. Modern pop culture has also helped carry some of these old beliefs into the present day. In fantasy novels and video games, salamanders are often depicted as fire-dwelling creatures, sometimes as small dragons or spirits that control heat and flame. From the Final Fantasy series to Dungeons & Dragons, the mythical version of the salamander still pops up, usually with powers far beyond what the real animal could do. While these portrayals are fun and imaginative, they're also a huge stretch from the true biology of salamanders. Even today, some people hold on to unusual beliefs about salamanders. In rural areas, they're sometimes misunderstood or feared. There are occasional reports of people avoiding areas where salamanders are spotted, assuming they're dangerous or cursed. They might be mistaken by others for young dragons or snakes. These fears are unfounded, but they show how deeply rooted myths can affect how we see animals, even in the modern world. On the flip side, salamanders have also become symbols of resilience and renewal in some circles. Thanks to their incredible regenerative powers, some people see them as metaphors for healing and personal growth. In literature and art, the salamander has been reimagined not as a fire monster, but as a quiet survivor, one who escapes danger, regrows what's lost, and keeps moving forward. That's a myth we can actually appreciate because it reflects the real strengths of this amazing creature. In many ways, the myths surrounding salamanders say more about us than about the animal itself. People have always been drawn to the mysterious and misunderstood. When we don't fully understand a creature's biology or behavior, we fill in the gaps with stories, sometimes magical, sometimes frightening, but always a reflection of human imagination. Salamanders, with their silent movements, moist skin, and sudden appearances after rain, were perfect candidates for these ancient tales.